Malls in Western New York and nationwide have taken a hit from the pandemic. They were closed for months due to safety precautions. Locally, a lack of Canadian shoppers also added to the struggle. But the McKinley Mall in Hamburg started seeing the decline long before the pandemic began. The Eastern Hills Mall is new life. The Boulevard Mall looking to redevelop as a mixed-use community. Could something similar happen with the McKinley Mall?
All new for you this morning, 7 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Proya is digging into what's going on with the McKinley Mall and where it might go in the future.
Sparsely filled parking lots, empty hallways, vacant storefronts.
When you compare walking through it now as opposed to walking through it 30 years ago, there's a tremendous difference.
Hamburg Town Supervisor Jim Shaw says the McKinley Mall has seen a steady decline in foot traffic through the years, as one after one, anchor tenants like Sears, Macy's, and Bon-Ton have closed their doors.
And so it's a big concern.
Ann Rindfuss is a sales associate at the B-Flow store in the mall. She says the store is doing better than they were pre-pandemic.
A great atmosphere in the store and being adjacent to the parking lot, I think that's helped a lot.
But Ann says there's less foot traffic on the inside of the mall, and it's probably thanks to online shopping.
I know a lot of customers are shopping online. I know a lot of customers have told us they're shopping early.
According to Adobe Analytics, U.S. online sales for September increased 43% compared to 2019.
The upcoming holiday season could bring more foot traffic to the McKinley Mall, but with the growing popularity of online shopping combined with the pandemic, it still may be less people.
There'll be great reticence on the part of a lot of shoppers to go into enclosed spaces for shopping. So that's just going to enhance online shopping and have an adverse impact upon malls.
Another hit, no Canadian shoppers. Creditors began foreclosing on the mall in 2018, but the past 8 months of COVID have put that on hold.
As a consequence, things have stayed relatively flat. That's why we retained an attorney to try and move this process forward and get the property sold sooner as opposed to later.
Shaw says he can see a bright future for the property, and it involves rezoning.
We need mixed usages. We need new and creative ideas for family entertainment. What brings people together? What excites them?
Alrighty, let's go for a walk in the good old McKinley Mall. It's been a few years since I've been here.
That's right, it's been a long time since I've been here. 2021 was able to welcome us back to the mall here in Blasdell, New York. Some conflicting reports will say that the mall is in Hamburg, but you can be the judge of that. It's either in Hamburg or Blasdell. It's right on the border of both towns. Anyway, we're back at this beautiful mall with its beautiful aesthetics, especially in the center court, if you can say it's really a center court, the way this mall is shaped and designed. It's a pretty large mall at over 800,000 square feet, opened up in 1985. It is one of the premier shopping malls in the Buffalo area, even though it takes direct competition from the Walden Galleria, which really stole a competition away from other malls, including the Eastern Hills Mall, which you may have seen my video on a few years ago. Unfortunately for McKinley Mall, it's been on a steady decline since my initial visit here in 2018. I've been coming here a few times over the years. Ace's Adventures, a good friend of mine, was able to show me this mall for the very first time, and I can say since that first visit, I've watched more and more tenants leave. You may actually remember in 2018 I did a video at the closing Bon-Ton, which is now long gone. Try to say that without laughing. Long gone Bon-Ton. Anyway, besides Bon-Ton leaving, Sears, which has an anchor here, they left shortly thereafter in 2019, I believe it was, and Macy's, which had 2 locations, closed years prior, I believe 2016. Things didn't make any things better for this mall, as a couple of years ago there was a fatal stabbing inside of the Sears, which, if you were already timid to go to the mall, they kind of scared more people away. It really didn't help the reputation here. However, I will say that it was just a random incident. It was a targeted incident, a very sad and tragic one too. And while we were here at the mall, I did feel very safe, very secure, and was able to walk around just fine. And we had a nice shopping experience and had a nice time walking around this place. Going over some of the history of McKinley Mall, as I had mentioned, it opened up in 1985 in Hamburg/Blasdell, whichever you prefer to say. Original anchors were Sears, a local chain called AM&A, The Sample, and it featured about 80 inline stores, and their big food court known as The Garden, which you'll see later in this video, is now completely empty, and most of the food court tenants are walled off, and all the benches and seating are gone other than some booths along the one wall. A year after opening, General Cinema Theater opened up at the mall with an outside-only access. Though the mall only opened up with 3 anchors at the start, shortly after its opening, this is when more anchors started coming in, which expanded the mall to a number of 5 total. 1988, LL Burger opened up a 40,000 square foot store on the backside of the mall. Sibley's also opened up a store, relocating from the nearby Seneca Mall in 1989. Also in 1989, Walden Galleria opened up, which was a super regional mall, brought in a lot of people from Canada and elsewhere to shop there, and it was really the death note for a few other malls, including Seneca Mall and the Thruway Mall. However, McKinley Mall hung on. With the Seneca Mall in trouble and dying in 1990, JCPenney relocated from that mall over to McKinley Mall, which was only 3 miles away anyway, which basically ended that mall's existence. Also in 1990, Sibley's turned into Kaufmann's, a Pittsburgh-based department store, and in 1991, LL Burger closed, quickly being converted into a Kaufmann's home store. So in retrospect, Kaufmann's had 2 locations here, which would explain why Macy's did, because in 2005-06 era, Macy's took over Kaufmann's and ended their run. The 90s were good to McKinley Mall. They brought a lot of stores into the place, including Circuit City, Pier 1 Imports, Media Play, Dollar Tree, Rose's Home and Furniture Store. Also, many restaurants opened up around and in the property, including Olive Garden, Red Lobster, TGI Fridays. And even on the outside of the mall in that area, stores such as Home Depot, BJ's Wholesale Club, Toys R Us, Joann Fabrics, AC Moore, TJ Maxx, Wegmans, and more opened up, bringing a lot of businesses into the immediate area. As you're looking at the center court area of the mall, as I call it, I just had to make a note of the beautiful colors and the lights hanging from the ceiling here. It's absolutely gorgeous. A perfect blend of colors, in my opinion. Something none like it I've ever seen at any other mall. I absolutely love it. And that's what gives this place character. I love all the malls that I go to, but the colors of this center court area were, to me, beautiful. Anyway, getting back to the history of the mall was stable all the way through the 2000s. However, right around, I'd say 2005 or 6, and even the Great Recession of 2008 is when the decline started. A lot of stores started relocating within the mall, and others started relocating towards the front of the mall to kind of make it more of like a strip mall, which if you were looking at the driving footage from the beginning of the video, you see a lot of stores along the front, and then as you go into the mall and towards the back, it empties out a lot more. Despite the Great Recession, McKinley Mall held on and tried to bring in as many tenants as they possibly could, though they started seeing more tenants leaving than opening up. And the 2010s is really when the mall took a turn for the worst, with many more stores leaving and closing up, dealing with their own troubles, and with online shopping on the rise. 2016 is when it really started, when Macy's announced they would close both of their locations inside of this mall, the Macy's home store and the full-line Macy's department store. And that left the mall with a 130,000 square foot hole. Besides them, other places would leave, including Payless, Hallmark, Mastercuts, Deb, PacSun, Gap, Hollister, Radio Shack. We already knew Media Play was long gone. 2017, Sears closed their auto center. In 2018 is when Bon-Ton closed, as well as Wet Seal Icing due to their bankruptcies. Ulta Beauty relocated 3 miles away in Orchard Park. And with the closure of Bon-Ton, the mall was down to about 65% occupancy, as JCPenney and Sears were the only major anchors left. As I had mentioned, besides a downturn in stores, the fatal stabbing happened unfortunately in the Sears, and it was a very sad story. And shortly thereafter, Sears announced their closure in 2019. The mall started facing foreclosure, and the 2020 pandemic did not help anything at all. And recently, in 2021, Cohan Retail Investment purchased McKinley Mall for $8.5 million, and there were many complaints from locals and others from the low sale price, not to mention the fact that Cohan does not have a great track record with their malls. The pandemic basically abandoned the entire food court, which you're looking at right now, leaving it with no tenants at all, when meanwhile, at one point, it had as many as 9 in there. With that said, the mall was down to about 50% occupancy, and since then in 2021, numerous other stores have announced their closure, leaving this mall die more and more. And actually, if you want to go back in time and be able to see this in better days, I highly recommend you go over to Ace's Adventures and check out his mall videos from here. This is his local mall. He knows this place better than anybody else, and he can tell you the whole story about this, including his own personal stories. And it's just a sad sight to see, with this mall once doing well, just slowly but surely declining, and then thanks to the bankruptcies of certain department stores and the pandemic, to watch it massively spiral downhill. However, when we were there, the tenants that were there were all open. We were welcomed with open arms basically in every store, I think because they're desperate for shoppers, and it makes me feel bad. There were a few cool stores that we checked out in here, and it made it worthwhile, especially if you're a mall walker. This is a great place to get some exercise because it's a huge mall. The design is weird, and because of a lot of the stores relocating to the front to make it more of like a strip mall, it leaves the backside rather empty, though not 100% empty, but it gives you a great chance to get some serious mall walking in if you're trying to exercise. Anyway, I'm going to take off. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. With that said, enjoy some music as we finish up our little walking tour here. Take care, stay awesome, and on Kayla's behalf, have a McKinley Mall-licious day, and stay tuned for the kitties, which you'll see towards the end of the video. Pretty cool to see some kitties in a mall. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And like I said, if you want to see more videos on this, I highly recommend you go over to Ace's channel and check out his original videos from this place, as he's covered this more than anybody else. Alright, everybody. Bye-bye.